Hello, my mathematicians. This is Miss Foster with Math in Focus, 4th grade, Chapter 8, 3rd lesson, Real-World Decimal Problems, where once again, I pose a question. Do you even need to watch this video? Decide that in a moment. If we understand place value, regrouping, and bar models, do we already know how to do this? I suggest yes. You just got to line up the decimals and use the skills you already have. Now, if you're sitting here going, yes, Miss Foster, I agree with you. I already know how to do this. Then go right ahead and do the next couple pages in your workbook. If you get stuck, come back. I'm going to go through just 2 problems here where we have to do addition first and then subtraction and draw out the models and show you. So if you want to do that along with me, you may. And if you want to be kind of brave and say, I got this, Miss Foster, bye-bye. See you later, but definitely come back if you need help. So here we have a word problem involving decimals. It goes like this. A cup contains 72 and 85 hundredths milliliters of honey. A milliliter is super tiny, so this is a very precise measurement. A jar contains 15 and 2/10 milliliters more honey than the cup. How much honey does the jar contain? Now, when I read that, you guys, my brain just feels scrambled. But then I remember that one of the powerful things about bar modeling is it gives me a place to just move into action. I have no idea how this is going to go, but I can identify the who and the what. Who are we talking about and what are we counting? Now, they're a bit bizarre here, my friends. Let me grab a highlighter to make this fun. But the who here is the cup and the jar. They're not real people, I know, but I'm going to have a bar for the jar and a bar for the cup. And then what are we measuring here? What are we counting? We are counting milliliters. That's the what. So I'm going to pause my video so you don't have to watch me drawing things. And shazam, there it is. I've done something to solve this problem, even though it was pretty confounding at first. I get a little shot of confidence there. Then I know I'm going to take it step by step. You don't need to know the answer right now, my friends. You need to reread and redraw. So I'll grab my pen. Let's do that. A cup contains 72 and 85 hundredths milliliters of honey. Stop. There's a period. It's the end of the sentence. So I'm just going to take a moment here and say, oh, well, that's how much this bar is. It's 72 and 85 hundredths. Again, that wasn't difficult necessarily, and by breaking this down into steps, you can conquer it. Let's do the next one. A jar contains 15 and 2/10 milliliters more honey than the cup. Aha! I've got to put a bar on here for the more. And I'm even going to put an M in there for the more. And then I'm going to realize that that was 15 and 2/10. Okay, let me put this here. And now I'm going to go ahead and reread the last sentence, which has the question mark at the end, to find out what I need to know. How much honey does the jar contain? I want to know how much this is. That's my question. So it looks to me like if this black box is equal to that black box, I'm going to need to add 72 and 85 hundredths to 15 and 2/10. Give me a moment to write that down. Now, when I'm adding these 2 amounts together, I'm going to need to line up the decimals. But your instinct might be, and this is the mistake everyone makes, my friends, is you're used to just dealing with whole numbers. So you're just going to line them up so that lowest written digit matches. But when I do this, do the decimals line up? No. So I've got to, when I line everything up, line up the decimals. That helps me get everything in the right place. Now, perhaps this is feeling a little seasick to you because there's nothing here. For me, though, when I think about it, I say I'm going to start in this hundredths place just in case I have to regroup. But 5 plus nothing is 5. You don't have to put the 0 there. In fact, if you really have a handle on decimals, you may not. So now I'll just go and add the tenths place. 8 plus 2 is 10/10. This is where I need to remember that I can regroup across the decimals. 10/10 are 1/100th, and you learned that in fractions. Since I have my decimal points here, I'm going to want to put a decimal point in my answer as well. If I don't, then people will think that maybe this is 5 single ones, and it's not. It's 5 hundredths. All right, back to my addition. Single ones, 1 plus 2 plus 5 is 8, and 7 plus 1 is also 8. And now I know that the jar contains 88 and 5 hundredths milliliters of honey. In your book, they will ask you to answer in a complete sentence. I will quickly type that up for you right now. Hello, my friends. If it all looks a bit different to you right now, when I went to type, my whole computer crashed. So after redoing everything, we see the sentence. The jar holds 88 and 5 hundredths milliliter of honey. And the of is kind of assumed in here, but if you want to write it, that is fine. Let's go do some subtraction. So here we have a problem involving decimals, and this is the kind of problem that you might be answering if you're trying to see if you can lift the watermelon and the pumpkin all the way inside from the car. The weight of a watermelon is 3 6/10 pounds. The pumpkin is 95 hundredths pound lighter than the watermelon. What is the total weight of the pumpkin and the watermelon? Oh my heavens, all those words. It's so complicated, I suspect that I might have more than one step here. So by drawing bar models, it'll give me a starting place and a shot of confidence. So who are we going to be working with, and what are we going to be counting? Well, once again, we have a very strange who. The watermelon and the pumpkin are what I think of as the who this problem is about. And the reason why is what we're really counting are pounds. So I'm going to go ahead and make a bar model for each of them, and I will do that off camera. And there it is. Now that I've got my bar models with the same starting place and they start off even, one for each of my who's, and you can see I use that ancient abbreviation LBS for pounds, I'm ready to reread and redraw. The weight of a watermelon is 3 6/10 of a pound. Okay, then that means I know how much this whole box is. And because they're even, this bottom box also is the same. So we're going to call that 3 6/10 pounds right there. Okay. Ooh, I'm going to grab myself an orange pen. Get out of the way, Miss Foster. We need an orange pen. The pumpkin is 95 hundredths pound lighter than the watermelon. Oh, that means the pumpkin should be shorter in its weight. So this is the lighter, or even the less. I'll put a little L in there to remind us. And that is 0 and 95 hundredths. I'm going to call this box P, and I'm going to call this box W, because it will show me my steps. So if I come back here, I think I need to figure out what the pumpkin weighs first, because my actual question is, what is the total weight of the pumpkin and the watermelon? So to do that, I need to add P to W to figure out the question. And I'm doing this to remind you of earlier in the year where we we represented our steps with letters. We began representing parts of our bar models with letters, or also called variables. See, when you get into algebra, into middle and upper school, you won't be drawing as many bar models. But these bar models will really help you understand what you need to do then. So definitely draw them. Do not blow me off on this. But that's our ultimate question. I'm going to have to find this one out first, though. So I think I need to do this whole box here, 3 6/10 minus 95 hundredths. I'll take a moment to write that for you. And there they are. You can see the 3 6/10 and the 95 hundredths. And once again, we must be careful to line up the decimals. So the mistake that kids make, don't be tempted, is because when we work with whole numbers, we always line things up with the single ones place. It's our least place of value, but not with decimals. The decimals are always there. We don't write them if we're using whole numbers only. But now that we have decimals, we need to line up the decimal points, not the least place of value. But when I do that, do you feel a little queasy? Because I do. Oh dear. I am pretty sure I'm going to have to do some regrouping here, and this just makes me look seasick. Remember, my friends, you can write as many zeros to the right of the decimal point as you please. I have given you the power. So now that everything's lined up and I've got those placeholder zeros in place, I'm ready to do some subtraction. And this should feel just like subtracting using place value. don't have enough hundredths to be in positive numbers, I will regroup my tenths into 5 tenths and 10 hundredths. 10 minus 5 is 5. Once again, my tenths place. Do I need to regroup? I think so. 5 tenths minus 9 tenths will land me in negative numbers unless I get more tenths. And remember, you can regroup across the decimal point. The decimal point just keeps everything lined up where it needs to go. So if I take away one of those single ones, those single pounds, leaving 2, and divide that single pound up into 10 pounds, I will have, or 10 tenths of a pound, please excuse me, I'll have 15 tenths minus 9 tenths, which is 6. Now, I've got my decimal points lined up. I need to include them in my answer so that everything stays in the right place. 2 minus nothing is 2. Now I know this part right here. This is the pumpkin. But to actually find out the weight of both of them, I have to add 2 and 65 hundredths with 3 and 6 tenths. Gonna write that down for you. Give me a moment. Voila! So I have 3 and 6 tenths here. I need to add it to 2 and 65 hundredths. But will I place it here? No, my friends. I've got to line up the decimals. There we go. Now, this may make you feel seasick because there's no 0 here. But once again, I don't necessarily have to have it. I'm adding, and I'm going to check in my least place of value, but nothing plus 5 is still nothing. So if you need to write that 0 there, great. And if you don't have to, don't. In the tenths place, 6 plus 6 is 12. And I have to remember that I can regroup across that decimal point, and that I do need to put that decimal point into my answer as well. That gives me an extra single 1. 1 plus 3 plus 2 is 6. Now let's scroll down a super long way and find that you have 2 pages of problems doing this in your workbook, pages 33 and 34. My friends, please draw bar models for all of it. I expect to see them when I grade your work. If you get lost or stuck, rewatch this video. Your parents can likely help with the addition and subtraction bits. They may not be able to do it with bar models. Some of them may begin writing it out as an algebraic equation. We've had parents do this in the year that I filmed this video. Instead of saying, oh, well, it's going to be, 3.6 minus 95 hundredths equals P, instead of doing the boxes, they'll just put down P. And so if you want to let them show you that stuff, why not? Let them take you into algebra. I think you can do it. And if you need help, please come see me during office hours or with your teacher. Hey friends, thanks for playing bar models and addition, subtraction of decimals and place value and regrouping. I love playing math with you. Bye-bye for now.